Hey, welcome to another episode of the True Story News podcast. I'm going to be joined by my niece shortly, so we're just going to wait for her to log in. There she is. Are you there? Can you hear me? Oh, I can't hear you. Can you hear me?
Hello, good to see you.
Well, hey, my niece, what's going on?
Good to see you. Get my ear things going on.
All right.
Yeah, my super humble earphones that are not Wi-Fi.
Very humble of you. Well, you can hear me fine, right?
Yeah, you're great.
Okay. All right. So we got a lot to jump into, because there's a lot of stuff going on,
Yeah,
and particularly this week, this
yeah.
weekend, this long weekend. So we can jump into a lot. I mean, I just want to talk. I would rather just talk to you, but we're doing a podcast.
Good.
And there's something that you wanted to talk about, in terms of portals, dimensions, and there's something going on with CERN. I'll set it up and then you can jump in. For those that don't know what's going on, CERN is doing another event, and they're doing it this weekend, July 5th, where they're playing with portals. The scientific explanation is that they're going to, accelerate matter and try to mimic the Big Bang event, so that they can understand more about our existence. Well, this is what they're saying, not me. This is the excuse that they're saying, and we live in 5% detectable reality. So, like, let's just say everything that is and can be. Let's just say that's 100%. We only know 5%. Mountains, planets, you and I.
Mm-hmm.
Another 25% is dark matter,
Okay.
and the other 70% is dark energy.
Okay.
So what they're doing is they're playing around with the energy, and they're accelerating matter to recreate. This is what they're saying, but what they're really doing is they're opening portals. They believe, and this is not a conspiracy, because I know we have a lot of normies out there that can't handle information. This is not conspiracy theory. Was in a lot of press. They are aware of other parallel realities or dimensions. So they're playing around with opening portals and dimensions, and we don't know what can go out, or we don't know what can go in. So everybody's talking about this. The science community is kind of hushing it with, calling everybody conspiracy theorists, which is what they usually do. And there's other people who are having concern because, like, in 2012, that's when they did it, and all of a sudden we started talking about the Mandela effect, and everybody, it was like something weird happened in 2012, the last time they did it.
Mm-hmm.
They're doing it again. So we don't know what's going to happen. So, you had something that you wanted to say about, dimensions, and so you could just jump in.
Yeah. First of all, it's really great to see you. I miss your face. To actually see your face. And now I'm like, oh, I miss you.
I miss you too. It is always great to see you.
Wow. Yeah. Well, what I was thinking with this whole CERN thing is I didn't hear about it until recently. Actually, I think it was just yesterday.
Yeah.
But I had last weekend my own little plant medicine ceremony, you could say. And I was just shown different things. But given the nature of a plant medicine ceremony, especially what I participated in, it was marvelous and beautiful, but I don't remember everything. I just remember, and it's hard to explain as well exactly what I saw, but there was something that came up about portals. And I was like, I was just getting really familiar with this dance of portals in the energetic field. And I was just shown that portals exist, essentially.
Yeah.
It's a very simple truth, but it felt really profound because I was able to see it and actually see, oh, you can jump into or fall into any sort of portal. And it wasn't necessarily negative, but wasn't necessarily positive either. It was just neutral. And I was just being shown how that was such a real thing. Um, and even in our regular lives,
So,
I feel like we can enter portals energetically, but within the manifested physical plane. For instance, I'm a contracted nurse, so I work all different jobs. And at one point, I was working a job that felt like my soul was getting sucked away. Like it felt like a vacuum. It felt like a negative energy. Not that it was just devoid of love and joy and things that I'm normally experiencing, but it was actually like a vacuum, like a sucking.
so you
And
left that now, correct?
that's why I left. And I realized I was like, I can't put my finger on what it was, but it doesn't
Yeah.
matter to me because I know what it felt like to be there. And that was enough to know when to turn away. And it's not like the people there were bad. I mean, there was some, low vibey um, things going on, but it wasn't like something horrible that if I were to explain it, I can't say there's anything really terrible, but I could just feel energetically like not myself.
Wow.
And I think that can be a sort of portal in the manifested 3D plane in physicality where you're kind of sucked in. And when you this whole conversation, we have to take into account a few universal laws like time and our concept of linear time being
Yeah.
an illusion, but also the paradox of holding both and that both things can be true, things
Yeah.
that seemingly contradict. So
Both of what could be true? Time being linear.
yes, and time being an illusion.
Okay.
I
And
can get
how
into that.
could yes, how could that both be true at the
Yeah.
same time?
Yeah, because we're 3D physical human beings, but we also have our spirit and 5D, I could say, dimensional self. Now, I'm not going to claim to be an expert on really those other dimensions, but there is something that I can sense that is infinite in our energy and in our nature. And that's where I find a lot of peace because even though let's say, incarnated as this person. I'm Ruthie, I am a woman, I was from this family, I live in the United States. This is all my personality and stuff. But then there's a part of me that I can feel it has this soul that is infinite.
Eternal.
And yeah, and it makes everything in this life not as heavy because I know in the greater concept of things, I'm kind of a speck.
Yeah.
But it's also beautiful because the opposite of that means that means everything gets to matter in every moment. Now it's so beautiful because it's one of a kind, and you know you'll never experience this unique version of it again. I'll never get to be Ruthie Lerato again. Like this is my one life to be that, so I want to be the best of that I can be. So how can it be both? And that we live in linear time. The reason why I say that is because when I first started waking up, I think, and as many of us do, we kind of fall out of reality.
Mhm.
You start to learn all these other dimensions and things, and then I think it's important to be grounded as well, so that we can bring all this wisdom and love and knowledge to the 3D physical plane. Because I don't know, I feel like that's a really noble thing to do instead of skipping off to the woods. I mean, I guess I sort of did do that,
You did. Uh,
but I still bring what I know into this plane because I want to help Earth.
so yeah, expound on that being grounded because that's important. Because you said you said something and you were speaking, but what you said was really a huge thing. You said when I began to wake up, and then
Mm-hmm.
you proceeded to say something about being grounded, coming back to the 3D.
Mm-hmm.
How would you, what steps would you take to be grounded and in this 3D reality? Like how do you go about being grounded after knowing all these things and after
Mm-hmm.
having these experiences and becoming aware of dimensions? How do you stay grounded?
Such a great question. There are a variety of different ways. There are energetic ways, and they can be so simple. It doesn't have to be anything very convoluted.
Yeah.
And then there are, I'd say, materialistic ways. So the energetic ways would be to imagine a cord going from your root or even the bottom of your feet all the way down into the below the floorboards, below all the dirt, all the way into the core of the earth, and wrapping that cord around the core of the earth, that molten lava. I mean, who really knows what's up? Flat, round, whatever. But
that's another debate. But
yeah, that's different topic. So just imagining yourself being pulled into the core of the earth can ground you, especially if you practice it somewhat regularly. You build that energetic rut. It's like you build that um, neural link in your brain and within all the cells of your body to ground yourself. So that's an energetic way to ground, and then just being in the physical world without denying the truth. I mean, it's hard when we live in this paradox and you do wake up. It's such a struggle because you
yeah,
can see things and witness things that other people are not aware of, and it's kind of confusing, but I just have fun with it. Just be in the material. I went to Starbucks today. I'm so against Starbucks, but it's like
again,
sometimes you just gotta, you know, enjoy being a part of this 3D society. I try to just enjoy some of the things, even though I may not 100% want to live my life that way. I know eventually I'll get to the point where I am living in more and more alignment, because that's what I'm aiming for all the time. But just being a part of society instead of just trying to skip off mentally into your own worlds, like it's still engaging with people and talking to them at their level.
so still still talking to the people, to the humans.
It's kind of fun. It's kind of fun because I feel
might
like
enjoy it sometimes.
it's like playing a game, you know? It's always an experiment.
Yeah, the humans are fun, you know.
There's something.
Uh,
They're
how do you yeah, like what mindset do you bring to the table when you coexist with the other entities in this realm? Like because you and I know that waking up
mm-hmm,
and coming into greater knowledge and just expanding your mind,
mm-hmm,
when you're surrounding your surroundings and the people that you're around are not quite there, you kind of suffocate your thoughts and
mm-hmm,
you kind of live your life hiding and not really talking about things for fear of
mm-hmm.
being called, conspiracy theorists, being called like, well, what is she talking about? Like,
Right.
so how do you navigate that? And how did you come from waking up to where you are now?
Mm-hmm. Whoa, that's such a question. I still am kind of struggling with this,
Yeah,
and just doing some trial and error with what works and what doesn't. I used to be pretty quiet about some parts of myself until I realized getting feedback from people, maybe I'm not so crazy. And sometimes I censor myself in places when I really don't have to. Like if the science says something's correct, I'm like, well, if I say that, people are going to think I'm some fifth dimensional conspiracy theorist. But I'm like, no, no, no. Like this is science. Like I can talk about that.
yeah,
So sometimes I've made the mistake of hiding too much just because of this. Like I don't even know what I can say, because it's like, how can I pick apart what's true and like just deliver some parts that people can handle? It's like too much to think about. So I'm still working with that. And I'm recently being a little bit more open, but more selective with my words as well. Cause it's like knowing your audience sort of thing. These are basic things when you speak to people. It's not something foreign. I that's something I can do
yeah,
is, select words that people are going to understand, because and then I wonder philosophically, I'm like, am I self-centered for just being in my world and not really relating to how other people, and like everyone has to understand what I do at this moment? Or can I don't know, find ways to communicate in a way that people can understand and can relate to? But it also comes with knowing who you're talking to
yeah.
and what they're ready for. So sometimes it's a gamble, sometimes it's trial and error, but I'm still working with it, to be honest.
It's good, and I am too. And
Yeah.
I don't care. Like, like you know what? This is what it is, and if you whatever you don't vibrate it with it,
Yeah.
and
Mhm.
I feel that you handle it a lot better than I, because I think that I've gone through a stage of being somewhat obnoxious and a little arrogant sometimes, because you live your life impatient. very patient, and like you know something and they flip it around on you like you're the crazy one. Like, and
Mm.
it's like it made me very good at articulating things, which is why I have
Okay.
a channel. And
Yeah.
I'm very good at explaining things for people to understand. And when they don't, I found myself falling into being dismissive and
Mm.
like every third word in my videos is all these normies, and I want to stop that. I want to
Mm.
come back to a message of light. A little dark is good, and a little
Yeah.
slaps are okay. Wait, some people, but yeah,
But that's true. Like really following your intuition with, that's probably the answer is really following your gut because we all have different roles. And the way I woke up was actually with a few slaps. And I'm like, thanks. Thanks for telling me the truth. Like no one else had the balls to tell me. Like you're actually working with me here and letting me argue my little, Ephesians 6:12 or whatever the thing is. Because I was like super hyper into that stuff. And I was like arguing, the Bible says this and I really started to wake up. I mean, it's been 5 years since then, and now I actually do have more interest in the Bible because I have a completely new lens about it. I'm not just following what I've been told in order to stay safe. I actually have cultivated that safety and infinite peace within me and have my own relationship with God. And now I like reading all sorts of texts.
yeah.
But
A little
yeah.
entity in the background. She's gone.
Oh, there's three of them. So at any point, they can pop in.
So another thing that you said, and I think it was still on the subject of dimensions. Um, you said something powerful about love always wins in the end. Like what?
Okay.
Yeah, what's that about?
So that was huge. So it's so important for anyone listening to really understand the paradox of both and holding both and seemingly contradicting things in
Yeah,
order to understand that. And also that time, the way we perceive of time is somewhat of an illusion. If you think about it, the time is always now. Even yesterday, the time was now yesterday. The time wasn't yesterday. It was now. And now the time is now. And tomorrow the time will be now. So we're actually always living in the now. And time doesn't move from A to C. Time is B. And it's a vibration. And it's love. We're moving from love or fear, love or fear. Love always feels fast. Think of when you're in love. It's like, oh my God. Or when you're having so much fun. It's like, where'd the time go? But when you're in fear, you're in agony and it draws out. So love is a very fast wave, kind of like a wheel that's spinning so fast it almost feels like it's still. Whereas fear is a low, slow sine wave. So we're always just vibrating. And it could be just one little switch that can switch it from either or, which is why I'm always learning to be careful. And sometimes I'm like, oh, I'm so much love and I can do this and that. And then one little thing I'm not paying attention to and I'm back into fear. And I'm like, where did
yeah,
that come from? So
yeah,
that's just the process I'm always learning. So with love and fear, so with all that into consideration, I was given this visual last weekend when I was in the ceremony of how I was seeing different dimensions, which I can't even explain it, but I was just seeing the different dimensions. At least I can explain at least one, two, and three. So one is just one dot, like
yeah.
think of geometry. And then 2D is a 2D plane. You have two dots, so there's one line going in between the two dots. And that actually I recently learned is AI. AI is a
Yeah.
2D phenomenon, and because when you think of computers, everything's either 0 or 1. Now, I don't know a ton about computer programming. It's always 0 or 1. It's either this, it is or isn't, is or isn't. That's it. And then with 3D, it's pretty cool because there's three dimensions and light shines on a three-dimensional object and casts a shadow. So
Yeah.
thinking now prisms and yeah, I don't know what else how do you call them? My geometry is a bit rusty, but those are the three. So I was
You can
seeing these.
talk about those. What about like fourth and fifth? Like um with your mind's eye, like fourth, fifth dimensional. Hold on a second, someone is interrupting
Mhm.
your podcast. Can you talk about fourth?
I'm pretty sure fourth has something to do with time shifting
Yeah.
and the perception of time. I really don't feel like enough of an expert of it right now to really share. I'm still learning, but I do understand that we are multidimensional beings and we're able to operate on all different dimensions at every point in time. In fact, we are doing that. And the more we can master that and be present in the 3D, however that looks like to us, depending on what your role is and what your mission and how you're going to ground yourself into society, we're all operating in a multi-dimension. When you're waking up, that's essentially what I think waking up is you're
Yeah.
exposing yourself to that multidimensionality. And
Yeah.
yeah, the love and fear thing. I was just clearly seeing how throughout time, even though in this now it may seem like everything's at us and there's so much to be afraid of, love always wins in the end. So if we opt to be love and not in tandem with this fear, because if we're playing with this fear and then we're like, oh, this is happening, then we're in this duality with it. We're playing with it. But if we actually rise up to love, where
Yeah.
we see it all, but we're not really in it. But remember, we're multidimensional. So you are in it. I'm not saying ignore the truth, ignore what's happening, pay attention, but also be multidimensional, have that ability to rise up into unconditional love and truth, which means we're going to win in the end. Will something disastrous happen next week? Maybe so. But in the end, love always wins.
That's
If next week nothing crazy happens, love always wins. It doesn't matter what happens. And our minds want to control. We want to know. We want to know what's happening because then we feel in control. Like we can make decisions to adjust for that. And then again, multidimensional. Yes, there are some things to consider. Maybe have a generator, maybe have some extra water and things. That's just being smart. It could be a snowstorm that locks you in and then you have some extra food. It could be anything. So
yeah.
I'm not saying deny reality and just, love wins and you don't have to pay your bills anymore. Like you have to
Yeah.
be in society, but also be multidimensional and know that there's love in your heart and you're gonna win. So that's something to celebrate every day.
That's a very big thing to celebrate. That love wins in the end, and it's
Yeah.
comforting. And I'm glad you said that. It doesn't mean to sit there and like do nothing and not
Yeah.
prepare. Like, oh, love is
Mhm.
gonna win. Like,
Right, right.
no. If it's raining, get an umbrella. If you hear something,
Mhm.
um, you know, just to be prepared, get a generator, like you said, get stock up on
Mhm.
food, make the
Grow your own food.
yeah, and make the proper preparation. Know what's going on.
Yeah.
You
Mhm.
know. So how do you say, like, because love is a powerful vibration, fear,
Mhm.
cripples you in certain ways, and it affects and manipulates your thinking. How do you stay in a love vibration? And what do you do to, focus on, because your perspective was very refreshing that love wins in the end. How do
Mhm.
you live your life in that vibration?
Yeah. One thing I do is realizing that we're all human and we're having completely different circumstances and families and experiences at the same time. But at the same time, we experience the same breadth of emotions. We all experience fear or love at some point in our lifetime. We all experience the seven deadly sins. We all experience, hopefully, peace and joy and love as well, gluttony and envy and like all these things. So when I see someone going through one of those things, I know that I either have experienced that before or I may experience that in the future. So they're just a version of me. So the more I see myself in them, the more I can have compassion with them because I'm like, I had really low points. I've had places where I was hurting so much that I began hurting other people.
Yeah,
And although they shouldn't be hurting other people because they're hurt, I can understand because I've been there. And I know that by being love, instead of just adding more pain, that's always going to win
yeah,
and that's always going to make a difference. And sometimes, it's hard to see. For instance, I had a situation at work where this girl tried to follow me, and then afterwards, I was like, you know what? I don't like her energy. I think she's trying to mock me and see what I'm about because she's, gossipy and curious. I don't think she's really act. And
yeah.
she had a facade that, yeah, I want some inspiration, and I didn't believe her. So then I blocked her afterwards.
Oh wow.
But that was like, is that me just being in fear? And I believe that it is. It's fear. What do I have to fear? What do I care what she has to say? What if she does say
Hmm.
something negative? That shouldn't affect the love being because
Yeah,
that's just her being negative. I don't have to, again, be in tandem with that. Like, oh, she's
Yeah.
this way, so I have to be in that. I could just rise above in love and see it all and not really engage, which gives it more power.
Yeah. It's very, very, very self-aware of you to reflect and see that you went off an assumption.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people do that. They assume things and they act in a lower vibration, fear, and oh, she's
Mm-hmm.
mocking me, and I'm gonna block her. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like, you were in your head and you realized that,
Mm-hmm.
and you didn't have to be, and you have more empathy and you treat people with more respect when you live in a love vibration. You don't villainize
Yeah.
people,
Yeah.
and you
Oh,
know,
yes, that's a huge one. Yeah, because I realized after going back to work, I was like, she said something about like, yeah, I'm sorry, I'm in a negative. I try to be positive, and I was like, oh, it's cute. Like she knows how I am, so she's like in my little world. I'm like, she's a good person, you know. I don't even maybe if maybe all that is true. Maybe she's just trying to mock me and stuff, but maybe she's going through incomprehensible hard times that I don't have no idea about. And she did say that her mom died, and she was
oh wow,
I don't know how old or what, but we all go through things and we react because of those things. And I think, my little mission is like, yeah, I actually want to unblock her and just,
it's
let her
beautiful.
tease me if she wants to, because I think there's more for her to gain by just that potential, seeing the best possibility in people. And that's what I do with when I'm coaching is I'm always seeing people in their highest. I
Yeah,
see you in this like lower stuff, but I also see you in your highest, and I'm holding that for you. I'm holding that for you
yeah.
to for you to rise into it.
That's a very beautiful perspective, and something very beautiful to practice and remember, and live in that. Looking at people and not judging them and like
Mhm.
demonizing them for things that you assume they did or didn't do, but seeing them as a person, seeing them and identifying with the things that maybe even if there is a negative thing, understanding the why and what brought that person to where they are, and
Mhm.
not judging, but
Mhm.
really holding space for seeing the person at their highest potential. And
Mhm.
all too often, people launch attacks against people without connecting with the person and
Mm.
understanding that person, realizing, you know what, this attack was not called for. We
Mhm.
didn't have to do this. Like what? And that's just a really good thing to really understand, that we are all a part of each other. We all are a part of this experience, having different experiences, but we are the same consciousness, having different experiences. And when you launch an attack on somebody, you're doing it to yourself.
Yeah,
You're doing it,
exactly.
yeah, you know. Oh,
That's
she,
enough. Mm.
but yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that just reminded me of something that was really important that's helped me for years is understanding that when I have some sort of anger towards someone or negative um, thing towards them, and I'm like out to get them or, I'm wishing ill on them, that stays in my electromagnetic field. It never gets
Yeah,
to them. That just stays with me. And then I'm struggling with, oh, this person did this person did that. They're going about their life,
yeah,
but that sticks with me. So thus forgiveness.
yeah. It's a very important thing, when someone launches an attack or passively, like decides, creates a narrative about you, believes that narrative, which is just a projection. It's not even real. It's not
Mm-hmm.
real. It's a projection. Attacks, blocks you, whatever. It stays with that person. Like that projection's not real. That projection's
Mhm,
not real. So it doesn't hit the intended targets. And like,
mhm.
living with that understanding is actually life changing, and
Yeah.
even with my situation where I have the
Mhm.
worst of the worst. I'm dealing with squatters.
No.
A part of me is trying to empathize. I'm still
Mm.
getting them the hell out of the house. I mean,
Yeah.
doing that, but empathizing with the human part of, something went really wrong with these people,
Wow.
some part, in some place.
Yeah.
And I'm going to make out well when this is all said and done. They will not. So I don't have to harbor that hate and anger. Yeah, they made me
Wow.
angry because it's really sad what they
Yeah.
are doing and
Mhm.
how they have to live. And, I removed myself from that anger because that's a destructive energy, because I was ready to do something. not wise, you know,
Mhm.
and to just lift yourself out of that low vibrational thinking and,
Mhm.
wanting to attack. And, when you understand people better, why they do things, bad things too. It's just like
Mhm.
they're going to get what they're gonna get from that. You don't have to.
Yes, that's it. That's it. Is
Yeah,
you just trust the universe will take care of that.
yeah.
I'm just gonna do me.
You worry about yourself and
Yeah,
don't be the squatter because that's not right. You know
that's
that.
not cool.
It's not okay.
Absolutely not
It's
cool.
not okay. And we live in a world. We live karma. We live in karma,
Mm.
and it. What you put out, your thoughts, your energy, what you put out comes back. And if you do things, like vindictively, it's not good. There's a time to be vindictive when it's warranted. When it's warranted, because sometimes there's not very nice people out there in the world we live in, and sometimes you got to defend yourself against
Mhm.
someone or someone's toxicity. But a lot of times we do this in inappropriate times or against people who don't deserve things because we're just in our head and
Mhm.
we're assuming things, you know. So that's important. That's
Mhm.
very, very, very important. And you did say something, love versus fear and honesty.
Mhm.
Do you remember your comment about that? Because that was,
Oh, I don't
you
remember
say a lot of
now.
great things, and I remember.
Oh, okay. So yeah. So I wanted to go into what is love. When we talk about love, fear is pretty simple because I consider fear to be a collection of different lower density emotions like shame and guilt and things like that. But love is, from my understanding, the highest frequency, which is also very close to gratitude and peace and joy. And there's actually a diagram from a book called Levels of Consciousness by, I think it's Frederick Dodson.
Okay.
And another book that I've seen the same diagram is
Frederick, Frederick who?
Dodson.
Dodson. Okay.
Mhm. It's called Levels of Energy. There's another one called Levels of Consciousness by somebody else. I don't remember who it is, but they're very similar. And there's these diagrams out. You could just Google it and they're all over, seen on Instagram. But what is love? And in our English language, we just have this one word, love, but it could have so many different connotations. So oh shoot, what is it? Hebrew, I think. There's agape love, there's phileo love, there is eros love, obviously is like romantic. Phileo, like Philadelphia, means brotherly love, like a
Eros
friend.
love is what.
Eros.
Yeah.
Phileo, Phileo.
Yeah.
And then there's agape, unconditional love,
Yeah.
which is
That
that.
a few of those I knew.
Yeah.
Um.
I'm pretty sure there's one more that I'm missing, at least one more in that language. Forgive me, I don't remember which one. I learned this in church. Agape is that unconditional Christ like love,
Yeah.
which I think could be symbolic. It's a different conversation though, but love, the love that I'm talking about in love versus fear is you could call universal love or unconditional love,
Yeah.
which is at the end of the day, being able to sit with yourself and the decisions that you made, because things arise in anger and in our negative emotions. But at the end of the day, when we look back on our life, want, we're going to hold on to the loving pieces and regret when we maybe acted out too much. Obviously, have tons of compassion and gentleness with yourself because we live in this haphazard world and we're all kind of going through something.
Yeah.
This is not the end of the world, but also just aiming for that. And my belief that is, we all started as these unconditionally loving beings.
Mhm.
And from age 0 to 7, children's brain is in this theta brainwave state where it's like a state of hypnosis and they're just taking in everything in the world, what they see on the video games, all the screens. They're taking that and constructing, this is what the world is, this is how it is.
Can
And
I
then
tell you
after,
something?
sure,
This is the third time today someone said that.
really?
Yes. Not
Oh,
in a different way. And I swear to you,
okay.
um, I had a conversation before talking to you earlier today about, we were talking about ages 0 to 7 and
Wow.
and psychology. I just think that means something. But
It always does. We don't have to know what it means, but it does mean something. It's awesome.
but yeah, go ahead.
I've been harping on this for so long because unfortunately parents aren't equipped with this information anymore because so much of our history has been snatched from us. But and then around age 8, you can tell too with kids, right? Around age 8, they kind
Mhm.
of get a little quieter, they're more in their head, they're,
Yeah,
maybe more deceptive, more savvy. And it literally has to do with how the brain operates. You go from magical thinking and believing in anything into what you're told, and you're more kind of impressionable and sucked into what
yeah,
adults, like adult world, basically.
yeah,
And you start thinking more like an adult. And it's 3 stages of 7 years. And if you've heard of 7 year cycles where our cells completely replicate in 7 years, I believe that I'm at the end of a 7 year cycle right now. But yeah, and then there's 8 to 14 ish, and then 15 to 21.
yeah.
But what was the question again?
Well, I was just like,
Oh, honesty and truth.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
because what I play with for years is that love is just truth.
yeah,
Because when we were born into this world, we were born as love beings. We were born, in awe and wonder and imagination. We wanted to play. Play
yeah,
is so important for
yeah.
kids and for adults, for all of us. Like we just want to sing and dance and have a fire and like eat food from the earth. Like it's pretty
Yeah.
simple. But
And have fire.
have a fire. Slightly pyro, maybe.
But
Love is just truth. And when we're at our truth, but the world has made it so hard to be in that place because it can be so vulnerable because we've been hurt before.
yeah,
And usually it's before that age 7 where we're taking in things. Maybe you acted out of pure innocence, but it was regarded as something negative, or you were rebuked for doing that, even though you were innocent in it. You were just trying to do your best. And things like that. Like you were trying to give, and then maybe um, people didn't give back, and you didn't understand why. So there's all these different things that happen in those really important childhood years,
right,
um, which is why, I mean, I work with families and kids due to the nature of my job, and I just have such a relief when I see kids that at least the first 7 years, if they had a good situation, that really is going to set you up for a good life. You can always, have, maybe a bad experience after 7, but you're going to have that solid foundation if you had a solid foundation those first 7 years.
yeah,
And then for the people who hadn't, I've seen really unfortunate, destructive behaviors, you could say sociopathic behaviors from people who had really traumatic 0 to 7 years, especially the first 3 years. I mean,
yeah,
everything from conception, like that's the most important. Like even
right,
before conception, that's why I always eat healthy. I'm like, you never know, like because all those stages from the earliest matter the most, and then decrease in significance, which you can see because the parents are able to let go more and more and more.
so
So love
huge
is
information.
Love
But
is truth. Love is almost just synonymous with truth. And I'm not saying that's easy. And sometimes love is not nice, what we consider to be nice.
yeah,
Being sheepish is not love.
yeah, yeah.
know?
Um,
And I could even use my own example again with that coworker. That's not an action of love, of being like, oh no, this is me over here isolated in my own reality and you can't be a part of it. That's
but,
an illusion of separation when we're all connected here. We're one big ecosystem from earth to people to animals to plants. We're all just like the body. We're not just one finger off on its own thing, or not just one eyeball. It's the whole body working together. And I see it in the same way as, all of earth is working together, which is why it's important to me that we take care of earth. That's all we got.
very big of you, very, very big of you, and something that I need to practice in truth. You say love is truth,
Mm.
and we get um we've set off course at certain parts of our life. I had to revisit truth and honesty in my life, especially um in situations, in love situations, like that's been a recurring thing for me. And we spoke earlier about, like, sometimes you don't want to tell people things, and you don't want to hurt their feelings, or or whatever, or you just like, I'm like a don't ask, don't tell type of person.
Mm.
Sometimes that's just not, you said loving people sometimes is telling them the truth, even if it hurts them, even
Mm-hmm.
if it's, because it's just, it's honesty. And you said earlier, like, yeah, they respect you for it, you know, and that's something that I've struggled with because we live in a realm that separates us from the truth.
Mm-hmm.
And, we have to do self work to like work that out. I was a publicist. I worked for a record label, and
Mm-hmm.
in corporate America, this is why I left. In corporate America,
Wow.
it's all about lying. Even to
Wow.
call out when you want to go on a vacation with your friends, you gotta call out. I'm sick. It's all lying. It's
Mm.
all dishonesty. It's all pumping up the artist when he didn't really do this, but saying that he. It's like
Mm.
lying, 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 deception, deception, and a lot
Mm-hmm.
of that is still a part of me.
Mm.
A lot of that is still a part of me, and
Mm.
sometimes there's situations where I'm not lying, but I'm just not telling you the truth.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
Mm-hmm.
not offering you the truth.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but that has to be worked out. And to really live in a love vibration, it is truth. It is living in integrity. It is being honest and forthright. And that's something that, I have to vibrate up to it. And it takes things happening for
Mm-hmm.
you to snap out of certain things and realize that even if
Mm-hmm.
you don't deserve a situation, and there's things that happened to me that I didn't deserve at all,
Mm-hmm.
but I learned from it. Like, yeah, I don't deserve this, but why the hell did this happen?
Ah.
Why did this happen? Let me think about it. And
Ah.
then leveled up,
Mm-hmm.
you know? So yeah, like love is truth, and loving yourself, loving other people, loving everyone around you. When you're involved with someone, you don't want them to not know things. And
Mm-hmm.
if you were that person, you'd want them to be fully informed. So that's how you practice love,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And I'm not the guru, love guru. I just leveled up today. I'm just being honest.
You're amazing. This level of awareness is like, it's just so good. Spread this around to the whole planet. Because with awareness, you can do anything. You have awareness. All of us who have awareness, then we can actually make moves. And there's this book I read in school called The Kite Runner by Khalid Hussein. And he stated right in the beginning, lying is actually stealing. And he says, when you lie, you're stealing someone's right to the truth and their freedom to choose because you're kind of distorting things. And I'm familiar with that thing of, I didn't lie, but I didn't give you the whole picture. And like, that's deception. That's where deception is the different from lying. And I realize this too this is actually really good to be familiar with in your spiritual life because we can get so easily deceived. And
Yeah,
whenever deception is coming through, there's always got to be some truth to it. That's why it's deceiving because it's like,
yeah.
there's a lot of truth. It looks shiny on the outside. That's why in Christianity, they even said the devil doesn't come with the pitchfork and the red ears. It comes like a princess, a little pony. It comes like innocent. Like you think it's all nice, but that would help, I think, a lot of people understand what's true and what's not, is knowing that what's not true is going to look like it's really good.
Gonna look really, yeah. There's a lot of that. There's a lot of
Mm-hmm.
deception and programming designed to look like the truth and progressive.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of that, and a lot of
Mm-hmm.
coming for children too. Unfortunately,
Yes, I know. I had the same thought as I was saying this. It's like I walked into the library and I hear ding, 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 ding. Like I was like, oh, they're having something for kids. It was all this like kiddie music, and I turn over and they're drag queens reading everyone. And I was like,
how did
and
that? Nobody's gonna say that.
the mom's holding the baby. She's like, wave, and the baby's waving to the. I'm just like,
There was a drag queen that spoke against this.
wow,
Yeah,
yes.
there was a
I
drag
will
queen.
give her $100 or him. I don't know.
Okay, that's another.
Sorry.
This is going to YouTube, so yeah.
And that's what is why it's hard because I do speak from my heart, and I just speak with truth because, even if I'm wrong, oh, I'm wrong, then I'll change. I'm not like too heavy. I mean, sometimes it does hurt and I have shame around, oh, I was wrong. But the more and more I practice this, I can talk about, where I went wrong and can do better. Like I'm talking about the weather because I don't take it personally. I don't
Right.
see it as like an attack on me. I just see it as we're all here to learn. And I'd rather be the person who's willing to grow and take responsibility for themselves because then I have more power and I can actually do more good. I mean, as a spiritual person, you have to be able to look at
Yeah.
just look at everything. Like you can always fall back into bad form or habits. There's always that potential there. And that's what I think the sinful nature is. I was talking to a pastor that I know that about sinful nature. And I don't believe anymore that we have this sinful nature. And they disagreed. And I started to realize, I think I do somewhat agree. I think there's always a potential at any point in our lives. Look at all these spiritual leaders who you find out were doing something bad. It's like
Yeah.
you can start off with
A lot of
beautiful
men.
intentions. Yeah, and genuinely have great intentions. And I believe a lot of these spiritual leaders that whatever something happened had great intentions and really were coming from truth. But at any moment,
Yeah.
it can flip and it could just be the tiniest little thing and you're in
Yeah.
a different frequency in a different timeline. And I think that's something to hold is always have that awareness that you're never just safe, you're never just good. And
Right.
that's what religion teaches you. It's like once you accept Jesus in your heart, then you're safe, you're good. And it's like I understand we are forgiven, but it's also like always hold that potential that you can go into being any sort of person. You're always choosing the
Yeah.
power of choice in every moment.
Yeah. You're always choosing. Life is being in the now, as you said, and
Yeah.
choices, decisions.
Mhm.
And while you make decisions, your goal, it's like you're playing a video game, to be the best version of Ruthie, to be the best
Mhm.
version of Drew that you can
Mhm.
possibly be, based on, you know, love, your moral compass, based on your perception of what, you know, good is. And yeah, it's decisions and choices. And there's a teacher, a spiritual teacher that it's like we grew up in the Judeo-Christian
Mhm.
uh that kind of ideology, but
Mhm.
it's really like cause and effect. Like you can
Mhm.
do this, but this is gonna happen.
Yes, yes, that's universal law. Sorry, I
Yeah.
dropped my rose crystal.
um
It's
yeah,
law, cause and effect. Exactly.
you can do this to this person, but that's gonna come back around.
Mhm.
You can do whatever you want.
Mhm.
Um, but cause and effect, and life is making decisions, and all is mind, and keeping a sense of, you want to vibrate up, you want to level up, and each decision you make could either benefit you or hurt you or someone else. Or if it hurts someone else, it still hurts you anyway. It's going to
Mhm.
come back around. So yeah, life is decisions, and
Mhm.
that's a very
Mhm.
important point. I want to go back to that the 0 to 7, like when you saw the drag queen. Um,
Uh,
that is why they're coming at the children, because there's agendas, there's Luciferian agendas, and they want to flip everything backwards. They want everything to be backwards. They want sexual confusion.
mhm.
You said something along the lines of like, the truth is going to come at you, not like, I mean, the evil, the lies, the deception, they're not going to come at you like
Mhm.
obvious lie. They're gonna wrap it as wonderful, as progressive, as good, and that's what they're trying to do.
Mhm.
They're trying to ensnare children
Mhm.
with this ideology and this
Mhm.
mindset. But what they're trying to produce is imbalance, sexual confusion,
Mhm.
um, just everything unnatural. They want everything backwards. You know,
Mhm.
Luciferian agendas. They want black to be white, white to be black, left to be wrong. It's just
Mhm.
chaos. But yeah, the 0 to 7 age is very, very important. And this is why when you look at the books, look at the school system, look at the movies and the cartoons,
Mhm.
what they're throwing in there, the music,
Mhm.
how weaponized it is.
Mhm.
You
Mhm.
yeah, this realm is really, really getting serious.
Mhm.
Really, really getting serious. Um, where would I want to go? So we
Oh,
talk.
I have something actually to add
All right.
with everything you said. With something just popping into my mind about why people lie anyway. Why would a kid lie? I was told that yeah, we have a sinful nature because who taught a kid to lie? No one teaches a kid to lie. It came from within them.
Yeah.
However, I think it's because we've all been born into a society that was affected negatively by the generation before them. And the generation before them was affected negatively. And then adults who have been living under whatever lies and destructive social habits from the generation before them. So when you come into this world, you may come in innocent, but why do we lie? It's because of fear. We're not, love is in our nature, is in our truth. So when
Yeah.
we're bombarded, we're in this world that has lies and it's confusing, and then you did something wrong and then you're in fear, so that's why people lie. It's because of some
Yeah.
sort of fear. um
How do you overcome that?
hmm,
Um, we get nurtured a certain way. We get cultivated a certain
hmm,
way for the lie to be easier.
yeah.
Like I say, like we're socialized. This realm is all about confusion, deception, separation, and we are socialized to be dishonest. Like I said,
Hmm.
the calling out of work. Nobody says, "Oh, listen, I want to play my guitar on the beach today." They call in sick. Like, oh, they,
Hmm.
you know. Um,
It just made me laugh because someone said once, he was like, what if you told your boss why you were late instead of saying, oh, there's traffic? What if you said, I did not leave with enough time to make it here timely? Like, what if you actually said that?
because you might be fired.
I think it's hilarious. I kind of want to do it. It's super honest. They're not going to hire me as a nurse, but
What you said?
it depends what your job is. I'm a nurse, so they can't really afford to lose me over that.
Oh man, but truth,
Anyway, yeah.
truth is not rewarded. Lies are rewarded. If you got a
Mm-hmm.
damn good excuse, like you know, oh,
Mm-hmm.
I'll let that one go.
In the short term, but karma, then you're gonna be lied to.
Right.
Eventually, it catches up to you. So
That's
know going in that even though it sucks now or feels like it really hurts in the long term, it's a long term game. I would love to share an example.
sure.
It's a little vulnerable. Hope you don't mind.
Well, I like vulnerable. I'm
Okay.
trying to be vulnerable as well, so
Okay.
it's a good practice.
I say it's vulnerable, but I've been in a little bit of my background. I've been in something called mystery school where we talk about things like this all the time. And it's been 4 years since I've been in this school. So it's really, I've gotten very accustomed to talking about things like this and I don't feel vulnerable about it. But I realize other people who don't have the luxury of talking about their feelings in different dimensions all the time and being coached on shamanic practitioner stuff. Um, it may be like sensitive to other people. So I'm trying to respect, who's listening. But I mean, I've had many years to overcome this. So with that being said, my little disclaimer,
Hmm.
don't feel bad for me. It's all okay. But I started to realize the difference between love and fear in through relationships. And the first guy I ever dated, I ended up breaking up with him. I just knew it wasn't the thing. He was a great person. It was
Yeah.
just like I knew it wasn't right. And he said, like, I'd rather you live happy and do what's best for you than keep you hostage here if that's not really what you want. And I was like, that is love. That is truly love. I know that person actually has love for me as a human being and is willing to let me go because that's just for me right now.
Yeah.
And then my next serious relationship, um, you know, I can be very trusting of people, and we were already broken up, and I'm the one who broke things off. Didn't want to be with the guy, but you know how it is. Sometimes you break up, and then a few weeks later, you're like, oh, maybe just one more time. So things like that were happening after we broke up, and I realized I had some sort of infection. So I asked him, have you seen any other partners? Because I broke up with him. I don't care. You are single now. You can do whatever the fuck you want.
Yeah.
I don't care. I just need to know because I need to know if I should seek medical attention or not, if I need antibiotics or not. So I, for a whole month, thought I just had a yeast infection. And I know as a nurse that I could potentially, if someone gets diagnosed with an STD, you could potentially lose your ability to have babies if
Wow.
it's untreated for too long.
Right.
So this is a big deal. So that's why I really wanted to know what this was. I try not to go to doctors. I try not to take antibiotics. I'm just trying to figure this out. But he keeps lying to me. Oh no, I didn't see anyone. I didn't see anyone. So I was like, okay, this must be yeast infection. So for a month goes by, I finally seek medical attention. It's the only STD I've ever had, but it comes up positive. And then I find out he finally tells the truth after the fact because I'm like, yo, like you're the only person I've been with. Like,
Yeah.
so that showed me after 3 years and we lived together and we've been through so much, you do not love me because you would, if you had love, you wouldn't. Yes, of course it might hurt me to hear that you were with someone else, but I'd rather know because that's going to save my ovaries and my ability to have children in the long run.
Yeah.
So the loving thing would be to actually tell the truth in that circumstances. And that's where something like hit me. And I was like, okay, that's the difference. The first guy obviously loved, the second guy obviously was just trying to protect himself because he had too much fear. He didn't want to be seen as the bad guy, or he didn't want me to be upset with him, or whatever it
This
was.
one,
It was,
the liar.
mm-hmm.
Okay. Wow. That's really intense. So what eventually happened with that?
Oh,
I
I
mean,
definitely ended things. And that was
yeah.
a karmic relationship. You could say twin flame, you could say soulmate. There's something that was just really different with that relationship than any other. And it's what woke me up. And I'm so grateful I had every single moment I did with that person.
Well,
It was amazing. I mean, the fact that I went through what I went through, it really wasn't, especially in retrospect, it wasn't as bad as how a lot of other people have
yeah,
in emotionally abusive relationships. I was able to, now I have the ability to help people that have gone through things like that, which
yeah.
is meaningful, it's fulfilling. So
And
there's
it
a lot of beauty in the end, but
the relationship hurt you, and it's not something that you would ever go back to.
right.
You appreciate it for what it was, and it
Yeah.
definitely woke you up, and you
Mhm.
consider it like a twin flame.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't done a ton of research on twin flames, so I don't know if it's really categorized as that, but
Yeah,
it is something different. Like we either had some sort of past life thing or maybe some sort of karmic deal where I feel like I don't know, it was just both of our assignments to be in that situation, and it was his assignment to wake me up, and it wasn't in as much pain as much beauty as well, and that
yeah,
came from it because the deeper you go into your depths, the more you can come with on the other side. The more tools, more resources, more wisdom and knowledge I have now. Before
yeah,
then, I was just shopping at the malls and drinking sodas. Like I wasn't like I was very much not sodas because I was health conscious, but like just drinking my Starbucks, wearing my Uggs, basic AF. I didn't know about any of the things until one day he started to ask me questions, and because I'm a person who wants to learn and grow, eventually I got to the point where I started to get it. But then I kept growing and kept moving with it. He didn't want to. And then he couldn't stand that I was growing and he wasn't. And it was
that's when you knew that you got what you were supposed to get from that situation
exactly.
to go.
Hmm.
Wow. Yeah, that's a powerful one, and I've heard a lot of twin flame stories, a lot of them, and a lot of them are very intense. But they're it's interesting that like they all end in separation. Like, all right, this was a time, and this was powerful, and this was intense, but
Hmm.
it blocked like this. But then it's got it's got
Exactly.
interesting. I'm kind of glad I don't. I don't. I don't know if I can deal with it. I don't know if I could. I don't know. From what I heard, it seems pretty intense. And
Yeah.
but I will speak on this honesty because like
Hmm.
that's something like we're talking about being vulnerable.
Hmm.
I'll be vulnerable, and that was something that I struggled with. I wasn't nowhere near that guy. Like, no offense, I'm not trying to be me. I didn't lie like that.
Yeah,
Um,
difference.
I lied in different ways by omission and like
Mhm,
don't ask, don't tell kind of person. Or when you're in a situation and the person's not your girlfriend and
mhm,
not your wife, so I don't have to. offer up information. I kind of played that. And if we were talking like technically, yeah, that's okay, but it's not okay. It's something that, people reserve the right to do because, hey, you're not in a relationship. Well, what I would do differently is to make sure you set boundaries and you're clear and you let everyone know what your intentions are, don't leave people in gray area confusion. And that is what, was what is wrong. When you're honest, you care about people, so you inform them. And that's something that I had to, learn to pick up, just level up a little bit. And, when a situation happens, it's like, I don't I don't deserve this. Like, what the hell is why did this happen? But when you revisit it, you learn the lesson, like, okay, yeah, like you can live a better life and drama free if you live in your truth, you live in your integrity, you live in that love vibration for yourself and everyone. And then you're not on a vibration to be attacked. You're not on a vibration for anything because you are on a love vibration where your steps are walking in your integrity. And, I had to do that. Like a lot of us men, it's difficult to be because we are reared to be that dude.
Yeah.
No.
Which is why I really feel for men and I really hold space for men because I'm upset with how men were treated because I have to deal with these guys that I date. Like, I realize, for instance, it's not cool. It's not cool the way we treat little boys. I mean, there's so much innocence there, and they're made out to be these demons when they're just acting in their own innocence. And there are times to like bring it back to more virtuous like kindness and values and things, but at the end of the day, I really see the innocence in men. I see where they have been hurt and been harmed. Just because I'm energy sensitive, I could just see things. Why is it that when a little boy falls and scrapes his knee, he's not allowed to cry? I was allowed to cry when I fell and scraped my knee. Oh, you okay? Boo boo, whatever. Because I'm a girl and I got to cry about it and then get over it and learn some emotional, regulation and how to deal with things. But men, we literally trained them to not have emotions. And even growing up as a teen, I didn't think that men had emotions because of how I was reared, how men were. And then when they would have emotions, I was confused because I thought that men didn't have emotions. And then I'm treating them like as if they don't, which probably just adds more damage to the guy. But then they don't even have someone to talk about it. We have women's groups, women's circles, women's tea, women's Bible study. We could talk about whatever. We love talking, but men, do they have those outlets? We don't have that in society anymore. And I've listened to a lot of podcasts and people that are starting with this men's movement, and it looks different than women. Women, we want to talk. Why is gossip usually associated with women? Women we like to talk about things, generally speaking, very generally speaking. But men, what I've been learning at least, is they like to do activities together. It builds that camaraderie, some healthy competition, like having an activity that they can do together, maybe building something or working on something. And then perhaps through that, they build that trust and camaraderie at sports, things like this. And then you can tease apart those things. But unfortunately, so many are so wounded. I mean, women are really crazy. Just adds to it. So it's like we were all reared to be the perfect storm when men and women come together. We are reared so that it's a perfect storm. Women are taught you're a princess and man's going to come save you. Men were taught one thing. Like, it's such a cluster.
It is a cluster, and it's so funny that you're touching on a lot of things I was already making videos about. I was making a video. It was. You said like just now that it's true. Like, it's men have it rough in ways, and like I had a moment. Like, I hadn't posted in a while, in weeks, because I had a moment. There's a lot of things happening, situations unraveling, squatter, a lot of stuff going on in a short span of time. And as a man, you're right. We don't have an outlet. We are looked at, and that's how I am. I'm just stoked. I don't tell people my problem. I don't tell my female friends my problems. it's just how I am. But it got to a point where just so many things were happening at the small amount of time that I realized, like, oh my God, I got to take a moment. I have to work on myself. I have to meditate. And this is why it would be a really good time to mentor young boys. They don't understand. And we live in a world where men are getting angry. There's women that want guys just to pay for stuff just because they're guys. And young boys growing up, they don't understand this world of, like, on one hand, you have all this gynocentrism, and on the other hand, it's like, I'm looked at to, I got to do this, I got to do that, I got to pay for everything. Like, why? Like, what's going on? And we don't have an outlet. Like, if I'm, I have feelings too. Women will just do stuff to guys, and just do stuff to guys when they're upset, and we don't have an outlet. We don't, run in our emotions and, like, have someone to, like, vent to about. Oh my God, we just kind of just eat things, and things get done to men all the time. But yeah, it is, men need an outlet, and that healing between the masculine and divine feminine, divine masculine, that really needs repair.
Oh yeah.
It needs repair. We don't treat each other the way we should and understand each other, our counterpart, instead of understanding the counterpart. Like, sometimes we get angry and punish things about the counterpart that, like, we didn't open ourselves up to understand him or to work with him a little different in the spirit of love. Like, people are quick to snap, and and in the reverse, we just need to listen more, understand each other more, and drop a lot of this programming. And there's really a lot to heal. Really a lot to heal. And it's a subject in itself. I was going to do one on mental health, but could talk about that for days.
Oh, I'm excited to hear that one.
Yeah.
They say the future is female. Some people say that anyways, but I think when men really start rising up, then the war is won.
Yeah.
We need our men. We need our men strong. It's so sad. I'm like, they're endangered. Like,
we are
kind of sad. Like, we need protection out here. We need men to be men. And I'm no expert on it. Of course, I've never been a man, but whatever they do in their groups, like, I support that. Do whatever, do your thing. Like, go get together and smash rocks. I don't know.
Yeah, that's what we do. We pee, we spit, we smash rocks. Man.
Yeah.
I think we do. Like, here's what a man needs, and I know that, like, at the back of my mind, like, it's a biblical. When a man finds a woman, finds a good thing. Women are very powerful. Women are responsible for civilizations, and a man that finds a good woman will live for that woman as the protector. As we are counterparts. There's ways that women think that are different than men.
Yeah.
Ways that men think that are different from women, and it's not greater or lesser. It's like it's a counterpart. Sometimes I talk to my female friends, and I hear them being a little bit more emotional than logical, and that's my brain to kind of help that. Sometimes we need. So that's why sometimes when, like, chaos happens, like if two women get together and they're emotional, they do something crazy. It's like, you needed you need something to rein that in. Rein that. Don't do this. We need each other. We need each other, and a woman can take care of a family, a man, and when she's in practicing love and not being low vibe, petty, practicing love, really loving a guy, and vice versa. A man really loves a woman. This can be repaired. This can be repaired, but both both genders need to stop their low vibe activity. that is not healthy and karmically not going to do something good for you. Like, and I'm recognizing as a man, like some of my things, which was in like the honesty department. Like, we're quiet, where we don't talk about stuff. And, that probably needs to change. Like, when you have a woman and you really respect a woman, you should be forthright.
Yeah.
And if that woman really respects a man, you have to respect him in that always, and not do things. There's a lot of things done to men when women are angry, and they'll do stuff, destroy his world. When that saying, when a woman's scorned, it's
Hell
causes
hath no fury.
have no fury, firing missiles. We got to get out of that and learn to be each other's counterpart.
Yeah.
And there's things about men, by nature that we can be worked out of. We're the more likely to lie. We're the more likely to withhold truth because we're not as chatty. And there's things that we can work through, but there's a lot of healing that has to take place, and we can't have this society where men are growing up angry, hating women.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Or the other way around.
Or the other way around. We have an anti-male whole society. Like, it's crazy. It's
I'm
so
very
weird.
against that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, when you speak against the movements of the day, people don't understand. It's like, I'm not against women or LGBT or any, but these movements are causing evil. They're causing great evil, and there is this man-hating vibe that is just it's crazy, and men are afraid to make moves.
It is.
And really learn to take time to like love our counterpart. I was in toxic things, where there's toxic. I'm not going to talk about, like, there's relationships where one person's always looking at negative, like trying to find something negative. You can't live in a situation like that. You're not seen. The person's living in projections, and women do that all the time because they carry drama from previous relationships. There's a lot of people out there. It's just the way it is. There's a lot of bad guys out there that victimize, that abuse women in different ways. And then finally, when a woman dates a guy that doesn't have that baggage, sometimes she doesn't know how to like let him go. Like, each sign, each thing, she thinks she comes at. A lot of men are just like, yo,
yeah,
can't deal with this, but there's a lot of healing.
There is. And the good news is I do see some of it happening already. I was in a workshop, God, it was in 2020. It was one of the most healing things where I really forgave men and just realized that the guy in front of me is not the last guy. That's not that guy. You don't have to treat him like it was that guy. Like, each one is a fresh experience, especially if you are in a loving relationship. And when I have women's gatherings, there's so much love for men that ends up being cultivated out of it. And I just want to express that it's not like any man bashing sort of like get together ceremony. It exposes how we can love again and get back to that truth of what a woman really is.
Yeah, that's beautiful to hear, and that's refreshing. Refreshing to hear. Let's see.
Happening.
Yes, we could do this all day.
I know there's still so much. There's so much.
Is there a subject or something that you didn't touch on? Because we touched on the CERN thing, which is happening this weekend. So I don't know. Oh yeah, I will say. I mean, I've heard. I didn't get this download myself, but others have said to, one person said it would be good to be by water.
Okay.
To partake in too many low vibrational activities this weekend, because there's something going on. There's something going on, and there's going to be a paradigm shift. And so it's good to just be in a good space, and be in a good place, and just not do anything, foolish or low vibe.
Mhm.
because the energies is going to shift. Um,
Mhm.
I don't know if you have anything to add in regarding
Mhm.
that or in general.
Yeah, that's great. A couple small things. With the CERN thing, I didn't realize that was happening until yesterday, but I
Yeah,
had that revelation with the portals last weekend, and I realized that, when like-minded people talk to each other and communicate what you're experiencing and what you're sensing in your own world, the more we can come together. It's like we all have a different piece of the puzzle, and then when we communicate and talk to each other, that there's so much value in that, because there's so much division that they try to separate us with.
yeah,
And my goal is that the strong people will stand together even when we have our differences and we don't understand why someone believes in this or that. At the end of the day, if we're able to still have that common bond and be able to share what's going on and get into communities like that, if you're not already. That's one thing I would say that I realized. Um, and then one other thing was, we were talking about timelines. This
yeah.
year I've been exploring that and realizing that, you know can shift timelines at any at any given moment. And
You can shift timelines. So,
yeah.
what do you like? And what was it? Was that the download that you had when you were talking about an experience, and
Mhm.
was that related to the dimensions? And
Yeah, so the timelines, yeah, they're all interrelated. I mean, if you look at the multiverse theory, there's like infinite amount of possibilities of how your life is going to turn out based on your options and your choices and what you
quantum
do. So
reality.
when you start making some really different choices, like
Yeah,
really different choices, especially what you eat and consume, and being really cognizant and aware, one decision leads to another. The more you can stay committed with one thing, then I've really seen myself this year really shift timelines and into my truest version of myself, where there's more love and peace and less fear, because I trust my heart. I decided in the beginning of this year, I'm going to live with an open heart. If I'm wrong, I'll renounce everything, but I will just do my best to live with an open heart and see where that gets me. And if it works, then I'm going to teach it.
nice.
And that's what's been happening. People are just coming into my field for coaching, and I just started that this year. And it's because I'm okay with whatever the outcome. I just know that I'm doing my best. I'll end with this quote by I think it's by Thich Nhat Hanh or Confucius, one of the two. But he says, "When you look into your heart and find nothing but love there, what is there to worry about? What is there to fear?" And that's what really started changing things for me years ago, because I've just held on to that. I'm trying my best. I'm also broken. I also have issues to unravel, and we all do, and it takes time. I don't have to be perfect. But if I know that in my heart, I get at the end of the day saying, like, I'm really trying here, like, I'm trying to do my best, then that's enough. I'm
Yeah,
trying to be responsible. I'm trying to be, in the 3D and remain grounded and be with people, and then also have, like, take care of myself and come from a place of overflow. At the end of the day, if you know that you're just trying your best, I feel like there's a lot of protection there
yeah,
when you're really clear with that.
it's good. That's very good to know, and I'm gonna challenge myself to do that. You know, we're all work in progress.
Yeah.
We're all- um, but no, this was excellent. Once again, I don't know if there's anything else you want to touch on. Um, we can come back, and
We
we,
can come
we
back.
we've introduced so many different topics. Uh,
Yeah, it's great.
there's so yeah. Um, Yeah, I guess I would close with just knowing that like all is mind, and basically when you were talking about timeline shifting, it's also shifting your mind, your attitude, your outlook, and energetically
Mhm,
you're shifting, and you can
mhm,
you know once you level up your way of thinking energetically, you can vibrate up into different quantum possibilities and different quantum.
mm,
So yeah, that's just a really good thing to walk away with. You know,
mhm,
living your best version, making the best decisions, positive decisions, health wise, relationship wise, loving people,
mhm,
treating people around you better, not toxic, not low vibe, and
mhm,
collectively, all these things done is a time shift. I
Hmm.
mean, a timeline shift and the leveling up.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
maybe giving people the benefit of the doubt more, that's always served me, because I mean, always, protect yourself, but I do tend to give people the benefit of the doubt, even if I'm confused by something with them. If I give them benefit of the doubt and pour them with love, knowing that it could have been a miscommunication, so many things that can get lost in translation, and you really see the best in them, the best that you can, especially if it's a noble person who's trying their best. It's
yeah.
always been the best for me. I mean, I could share one little example. I don't know,
Okay.
but there's someone who I've been recently dating, and I was really upset because, just there are a lot of things that were miscommunicated and ended up, loss of time and money, and, it was just
Mm,
miscommunicated. And um I was frustrated, but at the end of the day, I'm like, you know what? Sometimes I forget. Sometimes I have the wrong time. You know what? I don't think it was me, but I don't know. Just in case it was, I'll just say, maybe it was me. And he was like, no, 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 it was me. And then he bought me flowers, and I'm like,
no, that's right.
he got everything he wanted because he was able to say no, like, I'm sorry, like I
Yeah.
messed this up for us, which I think is what happened. But I was like, don't beat yourself up. It's okay. It's a small thing. And I was like, it could have been me. Like, I don't know. Sometimes I can be forgetful or say the wrong thing. And it's just like both people were like, no, I want to. And then I was like, no, that could have been me. And it's like
I would
so
love to have
cute.
that problem.
It's the best. It's the
Yeah.
best communication relationship I've ever been in. Cause I was like, I don't want to go in. I was upset earlier, but like, I try not to blame other people for what's going on with me. I always just look at myself, because only I can control myself. I can't control other people. And so even though I could have blamed him, I was like, I said this to his face. I was like, I don't like to blame people. I try to look at myself. He's like, I do the same thing. And it's like,
Yeah.
this is how people should be. It's so much easier. It's
So much easier. Like when you love
so
and
refreshing.
so refreshing when like that someone's not gonna jump on you or like you did this or you didn't do this, you messed this up, you lied. It's refreshing to work with
Yeah.
someone who's self-aware,
Yeah.
understands your humanity,
Hmm.
understands both of our imperfection. We're not perfect, and
Hmm.
it's just a better way to live. Like when you look at
Yeah.
you keep someone's integrity, and you respect them. You respect them. You don't villainize, point fingers that you respect, and you get it back. That's just the best thing. So that guy has a very good thing.
That's why I only date older men, because they mature really late. I figured out.
You're just tacking on to the story. Yep. And
Anyways, men's groups, all about it.
all
Get
right.
some men's groups going
I
on.
do. My next one is definitely going to be a men
Nice.
themed topic, but
I hold all the space in the world for that. Love men. Men deserve a lot more respect for who they are and who they came to be. Let them be them.
I applaud that. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And right back at women. I love women. Women are powerful, and divine masculine men. We want to serve women. We want to. It's just that there's toxic stuff going on,
Mm-hmm.
and how we're being treated is not
Mm-hmm.
okay. It's not okay. Like, but we will repair.
Yes.
Yeah. All right, Ruthie. Signing off. We're gonna have to probably do this again.
Yeah.
Maybe invite some folks. But
Yeah. Maybe if people have questions or remarks, then we can bounce off of that next time to just expound and go a little bit deeper, perhaps on certain things, and clarify if there's anything people want clarification on.
sounds good.
Okay.
I might just put this one right up. So
Awesome.
no editing. So all right, I'll call you after. All right.
All right. Sounds good.
All right. See you in the next one.
All right. Bye.